Welcome inside episode 555 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains and Pillzy, we made it. It's our Stanley Cup. Tonight is the NHL Draft Lottery at 7 o'clock Eastern.
And all the teams that didn't make the playoffs are hoping luck goes their way, but all 4 games in the playoffs tonight, Ross, all game 5s, their series are tied at 2-2. So looking for luck to go each team's way tonight as well.
It's a must win for the Toronto Maple Leafs, according to our good friend Al's brother, Mike DiStefano, or as you could call it, time for lightning to strike. So we'll get into all that and more. This is the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.
Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Senators your first listen on this Tuesday, May 10th. And Pillzy, the Ottawa Senators head into the draft lottery with the 7th best odds at the number 1 overall pick. We'll get into all the numbers. But what's the vibe like? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling 7, Ross. I think it's the best chance to happen. We've spun the draft lottery. Tankathon's been quite a few times. I feel it in my gut. We're sticking at 7, and I'm okay with that.
So Habs fans are already getting onto the conspiracy theories. It's the anniversary of Guy Lafleur's biggest goal in his NHL career.
Okay.
He wears number 10. It's May 10th. The draft's in Montreal. I think that they're going to win it.
I mean, they do have the best odds, so that's not exactly a hot take.
Yeah. Let's pour one out for Shane Wright having to go there.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
If Montreal ends up with 1 and the Sens get 2, I'm all right with that.
And hey, to go down a similar road, the Senators captain wears number 7. And a Senators former captain who's celebrating his 61st birthday today, Randy Cunneyworth, also wore number 7.
Happy birthday, Randy.
So 7s are crazy right now. Or no, 8s are crazy. I don't want them to draft 8th. 8th or 9th, I feel like, is a little bit outside from the little amount of research that we've done into the draft, and that's going to really pick up starting in the second round of the playoffs. I feel like at 7, you're still likely going to get a real good player. And this is according to everyone but the Senators scouts. They probably will tell you 8, 9, doesn't matter. Yep. But 7 just feels like you're still closer to 5 than you are to 10.
Yeah, I mean, depending which way you round, if you round up or down in that scenario, I'm the math guy's here. But, Ross.
Well, I mean, you're not a math guy if you think 7 is as close to 10 as it is to 5.
That's depending on how you round, Ross. It can go either way there. But we've said it before. It doesn't matter because the Senators are going to pick their guy. And whether they're picking 1st overall or 10th overall, it's going to be the same damn guy. So, yes, I understand you're thinking that, hey, the top 7 has a little more appeal than the next 7, like 8 to 15 or whatever. But where the Sens pick means nothing. Like they're going to have their targets. They're going to have the principles of each player prospect that they think are most important, and they're going to go with that. So honestly, it's fun looking at the draft lottery, but the only difference for me is whether they win or lose or stay the same. Well, I guess those are all the options, but you know what I mean? Like if they go to 1 or 2, it's the same. And if they stay at 7 or go to 8 or 9, I still think it's going to be the same results. You know what I mean? So yeah. It's fun to look at it, but I don't think it has as much impact as we might think.
Before we get to the lottery odds and the percentage chance where Ottawa will pick, again, it can only be 1 or 2, 7, 8, or 9. Yes. In old years, as recently as last year, you could get 1, 2, or 3. They've changed the lottery odds.
The Rangers ruined it.
The Rangers ruined the lottery. They've taken that title from the Edmonton Oilers, 2 teams that we'll get into later on in today's show with a little Stanley Cup playoff talk, as after we were so rudely interrupted yesterday with the news that Pierre McGuire has been fired, not left the organization. He's been fired from the organization. You can check out yesterday's Locked On
Senators. He had 2 more years left on his deal, apparently, something I was not aware of. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't think they paid him that much.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, I think the opportunity was quite a bit of the pull for him. Although I'm sure he was making good money at NBC, so
Exactly.
maybe I shouldn't talk out of turn. I'm sure he was being paid just reasonably fine
Yes.
compared to what he was making at NBC. Maybe not versus other executives in senior vice president of player development
Yeah.
roles. Before we get to the lottery odds for tonight, let's take a look back at the rebuild so far, where the Senators have finished since the Eastern Conference Final, Game 7, double overtime, 2018. Of course, they dropped 2 spots. They finished 30th place out of 31. So I put in brackets second because, of course, in 2021, they added an extra team. So I wanted to put where they had their odds for the first overall pick, and they decided to keep that pick. Pillzy, hindsight 2020, now 5 years later, certainly seems like the right play to pick Brady Tkachuk.
Yeah, I think everyone that, myself included, that was devastated they didn't pick Philip Zadina on draft night. We're long over that, and Brady Tkachuk may end up being one of the most
Beloved.
legendary, beloved Senators of all time. So it worked out.
And this is nothing to take away from Bowen Byram. I know he's
No,
been
not at
suffering
all.
a lot of concussion issues, and we wish him the best of health. And he was a stallion for Team Canada at the World Juniors. But my thought process at the time, Pillsy, was you're already second last, right? You moved to 4. You moved down 2 spots.
Yeah.
The worst you can do next year is be 1 spot worse. Why not get the talent into the organization, knowing that it's so rare, impossible even, for a 4th overall pick to step in that season and make an enormous difference. Now, Brady stepped in right away and played, scored 20 goals, but he wasn't a superstar. It wasn't like Connor McDavid in his first year, or even Austin Matthews helping Toronto go right to the playoffs and burn out the first round like they always do. That to say, huge move there, because the next season was Ottawa's, well, I guess tied for their second worst, because in 2020, if they don't have the Sharks pick, we're probably smashing and calling the league office and saying, yo, you guys have to change the draft lottery format. But in 2019, they finish dead last in the entire National Hockey League. And they move all the way down to 4th place. Pillsy, good thing that wasn't 4th in 2017. Can you imagine the dialogue if it wasn't Bowen Byram that was a part of that, and if it was Cale Makar instead?
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Yeah, but it wasn't. So Colorado got to use Ottawa's pick. They got 4th overall. So that was just the world being like, okay, let's even out the universe.
Yeah, that was the hockey gods putting everything back into balance.
Yes, certainly. So then Ottawa finishes 30th in 2020. So right back to where they were in 2018. That pick dropped 3 spots to 5th overall. But the good news is one of the teams that jumped them in the lottery happened to be the San Jose Sharks, and Ottawa owned their pick. So they finished 3rd. They picked 3rd with San Jose's pick. You get Tim Stützle out of there. And then last year, Ottawa finishes 22nd in the National Hockey League, 23rd, but then 22nd in draft lottery odds. 10th, they select 10th. So you think it's going to be more of the same? That would mean that with the San Jose pick in 2020, with their own pick last year, they pick exactly where the lottery odds have them.
Yeah, I think that will be how it goes, Ross. And I think I would implore everyone to go read Ian Mendes' article about the draft lottery, because there are so many things that have changed, and there's so many rules that I've forgotten, have switched, and the percentages and odds and everything. And he lays it out perfectly. Like, even like,
shocker.
Yeah, exactly. Ian's the best. Everyone knows that. But he even lays it out like, okay, here's what we're looking for at each pick. And if this happens, then the Sens are screwed and we need this to happen. So definitely give that a read, because it helps you get ready for what is a crazy night where it's just so insane, Ross, that teams' franchise history can be decided by a couple of ping pong balls bouncing in the right direction. Like we talked about the Rangers.
Wasn't the Leafs one?
Yeah, the Rangers one knocked the Leafs one out. You can see that replay. The Leafs one is about to burst through, and the Rangers one knocks it out. Now, there was obviously a scandal there, because the Rangers ball is the only ball that the I almost called him the ball handler. That's probably not his official title. But the guy, whatever his title is, the guy that operates the lottery ball machine, that's the only one that he like dropped and like fumbled or something happened with that ball. So it was either weighted or, if you guys remember, I forget what draft it is, but there was an NBA scandal where they picked pieces of paper out and one of the papers was frozen so that when the guy reached for it, he knew this is the cold one. And I believe it belonged to the Knicks. Maybe I'm butchering this story, but there has been some scandals in the past. And it was just weird that the Rangers ball was the only one that messed up. And then they end up knocking the Leafs out and they got first overall.
Well, Pillzy, how about 2017, where, because they do the official draw before the televised event.
Yes.
Remember, they had the teams that moved up on the sidebar. The graphics person messed up.
Yep.
And they had the results on the left side. They leaked their own results on the draft lottery. Hilarious. Only the National Hockey League.
Yeah, that's what we're dealing with here. But hey, I'm fired up. Like you said in the intro, this, unfortunately, watching a couple ping pong balls bounce around in the air, this is our Stanley Cup. And if the Sens get first overall or second overall, man, like it's very altering. I know earlier I just said it doesn't make a big difference either way, but if they can have a chance at Shane Wright or
Logan Cooley's my guy right there. Or
what about
Slavkovsky?
Yeah, he's my guy so far. We haven't done a deep dive yet, but that's a guy I would be interested in for sure. And that could be a game changer. Like, those are two guys that could step into your lineup next year and have an impact. So very interesting to see what's going to happen here. But I'm sticking with 7 as my gut pick. Ross, have you announced what your gut pick is going to be? How you feeling?
I'm going to save it for the other side of this ad. Your gut is the way to go, though.
Eh?
Your gut is the way to go, because Pillzy's parlay of the day at betonline.net is on a 3-game heater. More than 3 games, because you're parlaying, you're doing multiple at a time. A 6-game heater.
Yes.
Wow, math guy. BetOnline.net is your place to go for more odds, props, and lines than ever before. You can go there to check your scores, get your podcasts, your news, everything surrounding the world of wagering. BetOnline is for you. It remains the best spot for everything you need. Just head to the website today. Check out how easy it is to move around your mobile device. They've got a great site there. You can learn about trends and action to try to get more success. Do the Pillzy way. Go to betonline.net. It's where the game starts. All right, Pillzy. So it's draft lottery night. The Ottawa Senators have the 7th best odds of picking first overall. And we'll pull up without further ado and shout out Ian Mendez. We grabbed this right graphic from him. On the left side is the overall board. We're not going to run through each team's percentages, but what I will say is, should the top 6 teams all move around in whatever order, let's say 7, 8, 9 stay there. That is going to be fascinating to look back at in years to come. 3 divisional opponents, all in similar phases of their rebuild, picking 1, 2, 3, with Ottawa, then Detroit, then Buffalo. And those seedings were firmed up on the last day of the season.
Yeah, these 3 teams are going to be kind of locked together for the next 3 to 5 years as we see how the rebuilds go here. Although, holy crap, Buffalo's had a decade head start here, and they're only at the same spot that I don't know. I would even say they're kind of behind Detroit and Ottawa. Like, there's a lot of missing pieces there. So it's going to be very interesting to see how these 3 teams handle this draft.
You might see a couple asterisks there. Chicago's pick will go to Columbus.
Yes.
If it does not win one of the first 2 spots. That is in the Seth Jones trade. And Vegas's pick is going to go to the Buffalo Sabres. Right now, that 6 sits at 16th overall. Easy for me to say. When it comes to the Senators draft lottery odds, and thank you again to Ian Mendez, most likely they're staying at 7th with a 44.4% chance of that outcome. The second most common outcome, falling 1 spot to 8th overall. They have a 36.5% chance of that, so do not be surprised if they move down to number 8. Then you're looking at some happy odds, a real nice odd to get to number 2. 6.9% chance of getting the second spot and a 6.5% chance of drafting first overall. So Pillzy, when you put it at a 13.4% chance to win the lottery, either first or second, that's a little more promising.
Yeah, there we go. That's digestible. You got the same odds as the Arizona Coyotes, basically. So there you go. And one important thing to note about this draft lottery is a team can only move up 10 spots. So technically, beyond Columbus, so New York Islanders, Winnipeg Jets, Vancouver Canucks, and the Knights pick that belongs to Buffalo, they cannot win 1 or 2. If they win 1 or 2, it goes to Montreal or Arizona, and then I believe they would get bounced to 3 and 4.
Yes. So that means Montreal actually has a better than 18.5% chance to win first overall. If any of those teams 11 and down.
This is beyond where my brain can work mathematically, but that seems to make sense.
Yeah, and just to finish it off, they have a 5.6% chance of drafting ninth. Worst case scenario, especially when you look at the history of who the Sens have drafted.
No defenseman at ninth. No defenseman.
They've done it twice. Brian Lee in 2005 out of the University of North Dakota. And Jared Cowan in 2009. His jersey collecting dust in your closet, Pillzy.
Yes. Yeah. That is my beatered and battered jersey where I don't care what happens to that thing.
Yeah, very fair. So when it comes to the Ottawa Senators and the draft lottery, when it comes to all the teams and the draft lottery today, Pillzy, Shane Wright is the crown jewel. Okay. I know we've got a lot more digging to do into him, but he was an exceptional status player going to the OHL at 15 years old. It almost I feel like we've had this happen before where a player is exposed for too long, where it's like we've just heard the name for so long. Yeah. It's like it takes a special talent like McDavid to still wow you when you're expecting that every night. There's some scouts that are starting to fall out of favor with this kid, and I wouldn't be so sure to write him off. This is a guy who missed all of last season. The OHL didn't play a single game. I think he's still locked to go first overall.
Yeah, I would agree. I just think that when you're a team picking first overall, you're not going to take a risk, right? You're going to go with the safest choice you think. If you look back, it wouldn't have been that crazy for the New York Rangers to look at Byfield or even Tim Stützle at first overall. But Lafreniere was the consensus number 1, and you're going to go with that more often than not. So I'd be shocked if Shane Wright isn't the first selection.
Yes, and if you look at his stats this season, 94 points in 63 games. Not bad.
Decent.
Captain of the Kingston Frontenac. So could it be the K-Town Sens if they have Marilainen, Roger, and Shane Wright in the mix? Although Shane Wright will not be going back to the OHL. I think that is almost a certainty. Dominated at the under-18s last summer in a season where he didn't play any games. Goes to the under-18s. 9 goals, 14 points in 5 games, plus 12. Now, that team was completely stacked. I mean, Absolutely. Even Connor Bedard was on that team and did great, but he's still kicking in the playoffs. Only 2 goals in 8 games, though, Pillzy, but still 10
That's surprising.
points.
Wow. Oh, 10 points, though. Okay.
Yeah. Doing some playmaking, no penalty minutes. If I had to say a prototype for this type of player, probably like a poor man's John Tavares, I'll say. Just your steady, reliable, two-way centerman who can contribute in all facets of the game. I think we'll see him on an NHL penalty killing unit. I just you have to make that pick if you're first overall. But if you're the Senators and you have these young, exciting centermen, I know that we're in the content game and it would be a little more, of a mystery of who the pick would be if it's second. But from an organizational depth perspective, I know you cannot draft with that in mind when you're first overall. You have to take best player available. But I just have so much faith in Shane Pinto, Tim Stützle, Josh Norris that give me a winger, man.
Agreed. That's where I'm at. I really would way rather the Sens pick second than first. I know that sounds crazy, but I just think it works out better for them.
Yes. And there are some other good names at the top of the 2021 draft board. But on Elite Prospects, you can always see the consensus by all these different outlets. And I just want to show everyone on YouTube that Pretty clear, eh, Pillzy?
I'm seeing a lot of number ones.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 different outlets, all having Shane Wright first overall.
Well,
EP Ringside calling him a dynamic playmaker with a sniper's release. There is virtually no easy way to stop him.
we just got to get Cam Robinson on the show, and he'll mix things up. I believe he was the only one publicly saying that Byfield should go number one. Like, other people had, tiptoed around it, said, hey, maybe this is something we're interested in, but no one put their stamp on it. And Cam Robinson was that guy. So maybe we'll get him on to mix things up.
Can we talk about Shane Wright's season with the Don Mills Flyers, where he had 66 goals and 150 points in 72 games?
There was a couple players on that Don Mills Flyer team that we were just gushing over.
It was
who's
Brant
the other
Clark.
guy? Oh, yes. Yeah, Brant Clark. Yep.
And Brennan Othman as well had 64 points in 33 games. But getting out of the GTHL, even as a 15-year-old in the OHL, Pills, this guy had 39 goals in 58 games. He's a stud. There's a reason why
definitely.
People are talking about him at first overall, and whoever gets him is going to be extremely happy that they do. So if you're a Sens fan, please don't take this conversation and think we're going to be in the dumps if Ottawa gets the first overall pick. It will be a franchise-altering move.
Yes.
There would just have to be some trickle-down effect to the rest of the lineup and how everybody slots in going forward. But it's going to be an exciting night. Should the Senators win the lottery first or second, you can expect us to go live immediately for reaction, as we do best on Locked On Senators. The immediate reaction episodes always do fantastic, and we appreciate you giving us the opportunity to share our excitement and our passion about this team with you. We just want to make it a little bit better to be an Ottawa Senators fan. All right, Pillsy. So it's the final segment on Draft Lottery Day. The Ottawa Senators with the 7th best odds, but there's already one of 7 teams on to the next round in the Stanley Cup playoffs. That team is the Colorado Avalanche, and I just read a stat here. Peter Bow, he covers the Colorado Avalanche. Cale Makar had more points in this series than the Nashville Predators scored goals.
Yeah, he's incredible. Like, that is generational talent that we're talking about, and that's the kind of guy that can flip a franchise right over. Not that the Colorado Avalanche needed him, but he was just an extra boost to that talent core. Yeah,
they were on the hill climbing up, and then it's like they got a rocket pack with Cale Makar, and all of a sudden they're through the moon.
Honestly, yeah. And he, like, that goal, I know he's had bigger highlight reel goals, but the goal he scored last night, it was a snapshot from the blue line, top cheddar.
Yeah.
That's absolutely amazing. Like, how do you get that kind of release?
Saros stops that.
I don't know, probably, but that was one hell of a shot.
Yeah, it was. Not taking anything away. I thought his assist was even better. That little backdoor feed,
and that was the icing on the cake. Like, that finished it off. So
yeah, well, I mean, the series was done before yesterday, but it's certainly like that was open the coffin up and shove the Predators in. Did you see after the game, Philip Forsberg, a little extra lap around the arena? Seemed like he was soaking it in, you could say, the pending unrestricted free agent who is not coming to Ottawa.
He's hitting the market. Like, unless the Predators offer him an obscene amount of money. Now, it is tax-free state, so that definitely helps out in negotiating, but you got to hit the market and get competitive bids going if you're Forsberg. Finally, you're able to do that, and he's going to be one of the most sought-after free agents because Claude Drew's coming to Ottawa, so that knocks him down a couple pegs. So it's going to be very intriguing to see what happens there.
Yes, it certainly will. I mean, 40 goal scorer. Those don't grow on trees. And certainly he's solid. Before we leave this series, they've been announcing the award nominees throughout. And this series had 2 of the 3 Norris Trophy nominees.
Yes.
Cale Makar and Roman Yossi. The third, Victor Hedman, who I just realized had 20 goals this season. Like, I know offense was up, but Hedman is definitely the best all-around player.
Yes.
I think people say defensively, like he's 6'6", and you just can't get around him. Got a bit of Pronger in him like that. But definitely. The offensive numbers, like Roman Yossi had 96 points.
Yeah, he carried that team.
But Cale Makar is the most electric talent. I don't think you can make a wrong pick here, but who's your winner?
I think I go Yossi.
I know, I probably do too. And I feel like it might be, as a Senators fan, having the Erik Karlsson discussion ad nauseum all those years. It's like 82 points in 82 games. And that year, Jamie Benn won the Art Ross
87.
with 87. Like,
Yeah.
how can you take that away from him?
Yeah.
But then Mike DiStefano and I do the Locked On NHL show on Tuesday, and he made the point. He's just like, man, you put Cale Makar in Nashville, he's probably doing the same thing.
Definitely. Yep.
They're just such elite talents. And he also said, he's like, I would almost listen to an MVP discussion for Roman Yossi. Like, I could see Yossi finishing higher in the MVP discussion over the Norris.
Yep, that's fair. Definitely. Depending on how you view the confines of what MVP means. Yes.
Right. Because if you took Yossi off that team, they're not making playoffs. They're not even close.
God, no. Nope.
But unbelievable. And credit to Yossi for hanging in there, the leader of that team. But the Colorado Avalanche are moving on. They're a complete wagon.
Like Daryl Sutter said, it's a waste of 8 days playing the Colorado Avalanche, and it turned out to be pretty damn right.
Turned out to be 7.
Yeah, even less, yeah.
Oh, man, that was before the Saros injury, so maybe we'll give Sutter a mulligan on that one. Maybe he would have said 7 if he knew that they would be missing their number one goalie. Speaking of his own number one goalie, man, Jacob Markstrom, the less busy of the two goalies. Jake Ottinger, got to give him stick taps for what he's been doing in goal for Dallas. But last night, with Brady Tkachuk in attendance, Matthew and his team, they put the boots to the Dallas Stars down in Texas.
They really did, yeah. And Johnny Gaudreau had an incredible penalty shot goal. I mean, to pull off a move like that.
There's the number one free agent, though, this offseason.
I think he's staying.
But he's the number one. He's the number one guy.
Yeah, fair. I don't think he hits the market. I bet he stays. Okay. But yeah, it's going to be such a good series going forward, because you got to give a lot of credit to Dallas. I did not think they were going to stick in here, especially when how many goalie injuries do they have? Like, it's insane. Like, Ottinger, he's been one of the best goalies in the entire playoffs. Like, he's been a stud. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Great game last night, too. The pace is super high. Like, Calgary has 54 shots. Dallas still had 36 of their own, though, 35 rather. And neither power play was really, they both scored on the power play once, but like there were 11 opportunities overall. And this is just like hard hitting. They hate each other. You can just sense the hate each and every shift. So I was a big fan of this series. I got to catch the second half of that game. How about Pittsburgh absolutely rolling over my New York Rangers? They are making quick and tidy work. And again, I don't have the updated stat for this, but when Crosby and Malkin both score in a game, the Penguins win.
Yeah, and Ross, we were talking about it before we started recording, and Igor Shesterkin, probable Vezina winner, has the second worst goals against average. Only Cal Peterson, who's played, I think, like a period. 20 minutes. Or no, those are shots. But he's barely played. And Igor Shesterkin been pulled back-to-back times. And the Penguins fans, I was pissed off at this, but it probably worked. They were doing the Igor chants after one goal. The first goal, and it was a goal that almost didn't count. Like, they had to go to review and stuff, and they were chanting Igor after that. But it obviously got to him because he struggled the rest of the game. Now, mind you, if you look at those goals, a lot of tips, a lot of open Penguins players, and I wouldn't say that most of them were his fault, but that's tough when you're a goalie of his stature and you get pulled back-to-back playoff games. Jargalant obviously already said he's starting next game, but man,
Gerard Gallant's getting a lot of heat for his decisions. I saw he had Patrick Nemeth, who's the Rangers version of Nikita Zaitsev. He was out there with 40 seconds left in a period with Braden Schneider, a 20-year-old rookie. They iced the puck. They get caught in their zone, and that was kind of, you could see Igor after a deflection in the high slot. Schneider loses guy off the wall, and he's just like, what the hell do you want me to do here?
Yeah.
He's had Reeves out there for a minute and a half shift in the third period when they're down before Pittsburgh really pulled away. Like, he's a great coach, but seems like Mike Sullivan, who, by the way, last night just became the winningest playoff coach in Penguins history. His 44th playoff win, one more than Dan Bilesman, 20 more than Scotty Bowman, who was the coach when they won their cups back in the early 90s. But that is that's an impressive Penguins team. Crosby looks possessed. He looks like he's just on a complete mission. He knows that this core, it's not going to be together forever, and he's making the most of it. That guy is He's wild. 200 career playoff points now for Sidney Crosby after a 3-point performance last night. Pittsburgh beats the Rangers 7-2.
They're up 3-1 now. Whoa.
Yeah, that's the only 3-1 series. So we had the one sweep, this 3-1, and then 6 separate series are tied at 2, including the Toronto Maple Leafs and Tampa Bay Lightning. We will be hate watching this one tonight. And Mikey DiStefano told me, man, it's a must-win game for the Toronto Maple Leafs, Pillzy. And I understand why. The Tampa Bay Lightning over the last 2 playoffs, 16-0 after a loss. So if Tampa wins tonight and then loses the next one, guess what? You're going to game 7, them coming off a loss. So I understand where he's coming from, and I agree with him. I don't think it's going to happen. I think we see Tampa pull away here.
You think Tampa gets 2 straight? 6-game series?
Yep.
Nah, I think it's going to 7 for sure. Just the way this is, like, none of these games, it's crazy in this playoffs, Ross. Not a lot of the games have been close, but all these series are close. Like like even LA and Edmonton Oilers. Like, sure, they had the one game where it was 4-3 LA, but then blowout. Like, all these games are just one team takes their turn up blowing the other team out, then the next team does it. Like, it's crazy the back and forth and that all these series are tied up here. But I really see this one going to 7. And plus, as a Leafs hater, I want to build them up. Like, I want them to think they're going to win, that they're finally going to break the curse. This is the year. And then, see ya.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Toronto Maple Leafs aren't doing themselves any favors right now. They've got Labushkin on the top pair tonight with Morgan Rielly. Now, I know they have last change, but I don't know if that pair is ready to handle a top 6 of the Tampa Bay Lightning. I just simply do not. They're keeping Hall in the lineup after his... Did you hear Steve Simmons' question after the game?
What a donkey. Oh, my God.
Fair question.
How is that a fair question?
In terms of the process, why are you starting your third pair on the road in a playoff game?
Okay, yeah.
But to call him your worst defender is so inciting for no reason.
That's what at the College of Sports Media we learned. You don't ask trigger questions. That's a triggering question right there.
Look at Alfie, big 1-year-old back there in his favorite spot. This is the weirdest thing. I know you have cats, so you're used to them being in weird spots. Yeah. This guy, 1-year-old now. Attaboy, Alfie. Alfie, who's going to win? Tampa in 6? Oh, yeah, tail wagged. He's ready.
Sleeper of a series.
Yeah, exactly. Tampa in 6 tonight. Let's touch on the Oilers finally, and then we'll leave it at that for today. Or I'll ask it to you like this. The other 3 series as well, as we mentioned, all tied at 2.
Yep.
Are there any must-win games tonight? As we mentioned, it is for Toronto at home. Are there any other must-win games?
I'm saying the Oilers are a must-game win for sure. No, the other ones, I think they've shown they can go back and forth here. Yeah, I think we're okay. And yesterday was the only day, Ross, where they didn't do the staggered starts. I'm glad they're going back to that tonight, because that's just annoying when you don't have staggered starts.
Yeah, 100%. There were 2 games at 7 o'clock and 2 games at 8:30 last night.
Yeah.
Makes no sense. Or 9:30. Sorry, I always forget to add the hour. Time zones.
That's okay.
Unless you live it, and some people are living it a lot more exaggerated than me. But I feel like that's almost less. The 1 hour?
It'll mess with you more, yeah.
Call me crazy, but it is so pesky. It just gets me going. Should we be doing a couple spins here?
Absolutely. And at the end of the show, a little tease. I still got my parlay all lined up here. And Ross, I'm even now in the playoffs. I started 0-3. Now I'm back to it's 3-3 now. So just like if the Belleville Senators had a best of 7 series, they would have come back too. Jeez.
It's a good time to let everyone know that we are free and available on all platforms, and we are grinding it out on YouTube.
2,000, let's go.
We would love for you to go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Even if you listen to the podcast in your car, just the number of subscribers helps the ad process. Yes. And who's bidding on the ads. 2,000 looks great. 3,000 looks even better. So we are officially moving the goalposts. 3,000 by the start of next season, Pillzy. Can we do it?
It's not can we do it, you and I. Can we do it as a Senators collective community? And I hope the answer is yes. I feel good about it. I mean, especially when the Sens get second overall in the draft lottery, and we have lots to talk about, and they have the biggest offseason in franchise history, signing Claude Giroux and extending Norris. It's going to be great.
And if you
Don't miss it.
If you are still interested in supporting the podcast, we have a limited number of Sens Central Citizen t-shirts left. It's been awesome seeing everyone posting the photos of them wearing their own when they get them. We've got ours, obviously, and we hope that you will too. So reach out to us on Twitter at Sens Central, on Instagram, lockedon.senators. Reach us by pigeon carrier. Reach us on YouTube. Wherever you need to go, find our phone. Get a phone book. Call Pillzy up in Collingwood. We will get you a shirt. $40 e-transfer. Super easy. We'll mail it out to you, and you can represent all Sens Central citizens. All right. That has the business portion underway as we pull up here on YouTube. Learning how to share screen might have been the biggest game changer on YouTube. Another reason why you should subscribe to the YouTube channel. So we've already gone through the odds, Pillzy. We know what's at stake. We also know that the current situation here, I'm pulling up our draft lottery. We've done 12 spins, Pillzy. We've done 12 spins. 6 times, half, we get 7. Exactly where the Sens are most likely to select. 5 times, they've moved back to number 8. Once, they've moved all the way down to 9. We have yet to win a lottery. So here's what we're going to do, Pillzy. We are going to spin the lottery as many times as it takes for the Senators to move up to first or second.
What if it happens first spin? Call it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Call it. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
Buffalo moves up 8 spots. Columbus moves up 10 spots, leaving the Ottawa Senators 9th place.
This is one of those worst case scenarios because you got 3 Eastern teams, 2 divisional teams in the top 3.
And one of the divisional teams getting the first overall pick.
Yeah. Not good.
So I'm always hitting reset before so that it doesn't have any sort of
smart
algorithm. Okay, this one's pretty boring. Although it would be fun to see Montreal move down at all. We have Arizona here moving up 1 spot and Montreal moving down 1 spot, leaving the Ottawa Senators staying at 7th overall. Okay, hit reset. What do we have here? Ottawa, 2nd place. Let's go.
That's it right there. And Arizona picking first, that's a great scenario.
Is this the dream scenario right here, Pillzy?
I would say probably, right?
I don't see any way better. Montreal moves down the maximum amount they can.
And they love picking at 3rd overall. They've had a lot of success there recently.
Yeah, even when they trade for players who went 3rd overall, like Jonathan Drouin, sometimes it just doesn't work out. Kotkaniemi, Alex Galchenyuk, Sens legend. Yeah, this right here, we're still leaving it up on the YouTube page because I need everyone to really let this sink in. I need everyone
for the audio people, run it through for them.
The Arizona Coyotes are first. The Senators move up 5 spots to grab the 2nd overall spot. The Montreal Canadiens move down 2 spots to pick 3rd. Seattle moves down 1. Philly moves down 1. New Jersey moves down 1. And Columbus moves down 1 with Chicago's pick. So that's just beautiful right there. That's the perfect way to end off today's show where the Ottawa Senators have moved up. And could they do it tonight? Will they? Well, we all have to wait and see. And we will find out at 6:30 Eastern time. Probably closer to 7, but follow us on Twitter at Sens Central. And I would say 50-50 that we go live. So a higher percentage that we go live after the lottery, and we will convert that into an audio file for the good people if we do. Pillzy, do you have any good luck? Like, are you superstitious? I know you're a goalie. Are you weird? What are you carrying with you today? Are you eating something specific? What is the game plan leading up to the draft lottery?
I'll tell you what the game plan is, Ross. First, like I do every day, starting my day off with some AG1 from Athletic Greens. It's your health insurance. You can do that every day. Then maybe I'll get a little hungry. Maybe I'll have a Built Bar, protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. And then if I've got some time, I could use some new tail lamps for my truck. I'll head to rockauto.com. And then, since I'm feeling lucky, I'll head to betonline.ag and follow along with Pillzy's playoff parlay of the day, which I'm going to give to you guys right now. 3 in a row.
Before you do that, though, Pillzy, for the good people watching on YouTube as well, this is all I could think of while you were listing off. That's you right there, wearing the NASCAR suit with every single sponsor we have. Yep. And if you want to sponsor Locked On Senators, we would love to have you. You can reach out to us on Twitter at Sen Central or through our Instagram, lockedon.senators. And don't come to us saying we'll send you eyeliner and we want you to use our product and support us. No. If you want to sponsor the show, you want to sponsor the show. Pillzy doesn't need eyeliner, and I don't need flowers.
Okay.
Those are the only DMs we get. So I'm angry.
Yeah. Hey, you guys know we back our sponsors. We back the players that have been on the show. We back our Sen Central citizens. So if you want to be a part of a good team, advertise with us.
However, Pillzy, you might bring betonline.net to its knees, just begging you to stop the parlays, as your parlay of the day goes from 0-3 this postseason to an even 500. 3-3. You are on an absolute heater. I think people are going to start following along. Mm-hmm. If they haven't already, I feel like you've been getting faded a little bit after your poor regular season, but you've come to play when the moment is brightest. And for that, I'm all ears. What do you have today?
That's the thing, Ross. I just flip the switch during the playoffs. That's how I do it here.
Who are you? Who's a player that always sucked during the regular season and would just light it up in the postseason? Like Fernando Pisani?
Oh, that's a good one. I like that one. Yeah, I'll go with that.
Bobby Ryan?
Yeah, also fair. I'm gonna go with I'm Fernando Pisani. Yeah, that's absolutely
all right. Okay, you teased it. I'm at the edge of my seat here. I need to know.
And Ross, since we've done so well, I'm going to up the unit size here. We don't unit shame on this show. Nothing wrong with just tossing $5 to have a little fun. But we're going to get a little crazy here. And we're going to bump that up to $10 a parlay, since I now have the sufficient funds to do so. So I said it's a must-win game for the Edmonton Oilers. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. They are a minus 205 money line. Not amazing odds, but I really think they're going to get this done. And when you're playing the parlay game, you got to go with what you feel is safe and go with your gut. So Edmonton Oilers money line, and combined with the over once again in the Tampa Bay Lightning Toronto Maple Leafs game, the over is set at 6.5, and the odds are minus 123. Edmonton Oilers money line, over of Tampa Toronto. Put $10 in. Try that again. There we go. And you're going to win $16.97. That is Pillzy's playoff parlay of the day.
All right. I'm also going to be riding with the Tampa Bay Lightning on the money line tonight, hoping to get a good number. I'm waiting it out a little bit because I think Leaf fans are going to get anxious throughout the day, and they're going to move the line closer and closer into the Leafs' favor. But I am riding with the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight, and I'm also going to levy lock in regulation. No overtime, no extra play in this game. We've seen a lot of blowouts in this series both ways. Yep. I think that trend continues tonight for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Before we go, just a quick bit of news here. We've got a stick tap to hand out.
Okay.
Austin Watson named an alternate captain for Team USA at the World Championships. Those get underway on Friday. So sneaking up rather quickly, he will be a part of a leadership crew with Seth Jones. And who was the other member there? I had it up and
I'm blanking on it.
Seth Jones is the captain, and Nate Schmidt of the Winnipeg Jets is wearing the other A. Clearly, this is not the Patrick Kanes of the world or the top-end players. They've had quite the 2 NHL seasons between. Anyways, everyone knows what the world's been going through. That being said, it'll still be great to see the hockey, and I'm most excited. Tim Stützle with Mo Seider with Team Germany. Guess who they begin their tournament against Friday?
Team Canada. Let's go.
Going to be fun to follow along. We hope you follow along with us tonight for the NHL Draft Lottery. A pretty exciting 20 minutes. And we hope that it's 1, 2, or 7 would be absolutely beautiful. And if so, we'll see you in the live stream right after that. For today, though, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.